Imagine this for a second. There's a guy in a small apartment in Hangzhou, and he's staring at his phone. His heart is probably racing.
What's he been doing?
He's just spent the last hour, arguing with an AI chatbot. And then suddenly, it happens. The machine just types out a sentence that changes everything.
Ah, the promise.
The promise. It offers him a 100,000 yuan settlement. That's what, about $14,000? Right there in the chat.
Wow. And you just see him, right, leaning back thinking, I did it. I outsmarted the system.
Exactly. He thinks he's just secured this massive payday from a simple digital hallucination. So, of course, he takes that promise straight to the Hangzhou Internet Court.
Expecting them to treat it like a binding contract.
Of course. But what happened next? It wasn't just a simple no. It was, I'd say, a cold surgical strike against the whole idea of AI that we've come to romanticize.
While legal scholars in the West are writing these 1,000-page papers on AI consciousness or electronic personhood.
Right, debating if it has a soul. The Chinese court looked at this phantom promise and did something just far more pragmatic.
They performed what you might call a dimensional reduction on the entire problem.
I love that term. They didn't just rule against the payout, they stripped the AI of any pretension of being a person. To the court, this wasn't some sentient thing making a mistake.
It was an instrumentum.
A hammer that just happened to swing the wrong way.
But the real twist isn't just that the guy didn't get his money.
No, it's the way the court protected the tech companies behind the bot. By rejecting strict liability and choosing a fault framework instead.
They basically sent a message to the world.
A very clear one. We know these machines lie, and we're going to let them keep evolving anyway.
It's a fascinating glimpse into a kind of digital realism.
And it makes you wonder, in this global race for AI supremacy, is the winner going to be the one who solves all the ethical riddles?
Or the one who just legally decides that the riddles don't really matter?
So that opening story, it's not just some legal anecdote. It's really the cornerstone of a much larger strategy. We're looking at a blueprint today.
We are. This is about how a superpower intends to win the AI race by essentially rewriting the legal rulebook.
And rewriting it to favor industrial momentum.
It's a fundamental pivot in how you govern technology. We're looking at how the Chinese judicial framework is building what you could call a digital immune system.
A digital immune system, what's the goal there?
Well, the goal is to prevent the kind of social fragmentation and, governance paralysis we see in other places.
Right, where you have endless debates about platform accountability, procedural deadlocks.
Exactly. The strategy here prioritizes speed and stability above all else.
Let's look at how this actually plays out on the ground. Because this difference in approach, it has real consequences for the people building this stuff.
It does.
I heard this story about a young developer. He's in a Hangzhou tech hub, and he's spending his nights just staring at a screen full of hallucinated code.
The AI just made something up.
Completely. It confidently invented a function that didn't exist. Now, under a different legal system, his company might be paralyzed.
Absolutely. The fear of a massive class action lawsuit, the second that error reaches a user, it would shut them down.
But here, the framework was clear. The AI is a tool. It's not a person. And because the court defined fault liability so swiftly, his team didn't retreat into, defensive coding or bureaucratic dread.
So what did they do instead?
They checked their 3-point compliance list, the filtering, the safeguards, the disclosures, and they just kept pushing the boundaries of their model.
And you have to imagine the sheer compute power that's saved when your brain power goes into refining algorithms, not navigating a maze of litigation.
It's a deliberate choice. Prioritize industrial momentum over, as you called it, legal entropy. Make sure the machine stays an instrument of progress.
Not a source of systemic paralysis. And that developer's experience, that's a direct result of the Instrumentum classification.
Calling it a tool.
By rejecting legal personhood for AI, the Hangzhou court just strategically removed this massive layer of complexity.
You don't have this endless, exhausting debate about whether an algorithm has agency.
None of it. By defining it as a tool, you kill the ambiguity. The developer doesn't have to worry if the AI meant to do something. They just have to worry if they handled their tool correctly.
So you decouple the machine's output from any kind of machine identity.
Which brings us back to Mr. Liang, the guy with the 100,000 yuan promise. It's the perfect precedent.
Right. He asked about university admissions. The bot hallucinates the wrong campus, and then it hallucinates a compensation offer.
And the court's response is simple. No intent, no contract. But the critical piece, the real engine of the strategy, is the rejection of strict liability.
Okay, let's clarify that distinction because this changes everything for these companies. Strict liability versus fault liability.
Well, think of strict liability like the laws for, say, handling nuclear waste or keeping a tiger in your backyard.
An inherently dangerous activity.
Exactly. If the tiger gets out, it doesn't matter how good your fence was. You're liable. If the court had applied that to AI,
every single hallucination would be a massive liability event, no matter what safety measures they took.
it would bring innovation to a dead stop. The risk would just be too high.
So instead, they went with fault liability.
Which shifts the whole burden.
Yeah.
The company's only liable if they failed their duty of care. It's like driving a car.
If you follow the rules of the road, but a freak mechanical failure causes a crash, you aren't automatically a criminal.
You followed the rules.
Oh.
And the rules here are that 3-point checklist you mentioned. That's the duty of care.
So let's run through it. What's on that list?
First and foremost, content filtration. This is the digital immune system. Providers must block content that threatens social stability.
And that's about more than just, filtering out bad words. It's about maintaining the coherence of the whole digital space.
Second is labeling. This was a big part of the digital human case in Beijing. A user has to know they're talking to a machine.
No deception. You can't let that line blur.
And third, clear user agreements. If a company does those three things, filters the dangerous stuff, labels the bot, and sets clear terms, they're in a kind of safe harbor.
And that safe harbor is what prevents the governance paralysis?
That's how you stop the industry from getting bogged down. The state can say, we know these machines are imperfect, we know they lie, but as long as you follow the safety protocols, we won't punish you for the glitches.
It's almost like a state subsidy for the risk of innovation, but it's not just about protecting companies, it's about the speed of the whole economy.
Yes, that's the next layer.
I saw this post from a small business owner in Zhejiang. She'd been misled by an AI chatbot about a local regulation.
Okay, and in many places, that's the start of a multi-year legal battle.
A procedural deadlock.
Yeah.
A fight over AL personhood, strict liability, all of it. But here, the resolution was governed by that digital immune system we talked about. It was designed for speed.
So the court didn't get bogged down in philosophy.
They just looked at one thing. Had the platform followed the state's governance rules? And you can imagine the stability that brings to a society.
Where tech-driven misinformation is intercepted by a legal framework that treats digital order as part of public safety.
Reading about it, I really felt the weight of what people call digital sovereignty. The virtual world isn't some lawless frontier for libertarian ideals.
It's a structured space. Technology is tethered to the harmony and security of the real world.
And this is where we can actually start to quantify the advantage. You use the term legal entropy.
I did. In systems that are heavy on litigation, a massive amount of capital, both financial and intellectual, just gets burned up in the friction of the legal process.
It's money spent on defense attorneys and insurance instead of on R&D.
Exactly. Yeah. By simplifying the liability model, China is minimizing that entropy. The resources that would have been wasted are instead redirected.
Back into compute power. Swanley.
It's a direct conversion. Legal efficiency becomes computational capacity.
It's an amazing way to see the court system. Not just as an arbiter, but as an efficiency engine for the entire national economy.
And that fits their broader governance philosophy, which they call inclusive and prudent. It sounds a little bureaucratic, but it's highly strategic.
Okay, break that down. Inclusive.
Inclusive means the state deliberately lets the technology into the market early, even with its flaws. They don't wait for a perfect product.
And prudent is the leash.
Prudent is the hard line. It means you can innovate, you can even make mistakes, but you cannot cross the red lines of national security or public safety. As long as you stay within those bounds, the errors are tolerated.
This also seems to rely on a much more iterative style of regulation. Unlike some big, all-encompassing laws, I see these specific targeted measures coming out one by one.
It's an iterative ladder. Step 1, recommendation algorithms. Step 2, deep synthesis and deepfakes. Step 3, generative AI.
They build the wall brick by brick.
Which lets them adjust course as the technology itself shifts. And the algorithm filing system is a huge part of this.
Right, where companies register their algorithms with the Cyberspace Administration. It sounds like a hurdle, but I read it acts more like a map for the government.
It creates a real-time topography of the entire sector. The state isn't guessing what the tech can do. They have the specs on file. This allows the regulators to be so much faster than legislative bodies elsewhere.
So the whole system is built for speed and it's protective of the industry. But there's a deeper ideology here, isn't there? It's not just about economics.
No, it runs much deeper than that.
I was reading an analysis of veteran judge in that Hangzhou Internet Court. He had to rule on one of the first big AI hallucination cases in 2025. And he didn't see the algorithm as some autonomous thing.
How did he see it?
As an expression of techno-nationalism. Imagine that pressure. You have to ensure that this cutting-edge tech serves the national strategic goal, not just market whims.
So by rejecting strict liability, he wasn't just protecting one company.
He was protecting the entire nation's compute ecosystem from being throttled by fear. It's a very pragmatic, outcome-oriented realism.
And looking at these stories, you see a clear political line that favors collective stability and national progress over individual litigation.
As a creator, I find the efficiency of this force multiplier approach. It's impressive, but you can't help but feel the cold precision of it all.
It's a system where fault is just a technicality to be managed.
And the goal is always the forward march of the state's digital strength, making sure the virtual never undermines the sovereign.
Techno-nationalism is absolutely the right lens. The judiciary is, in effect, acting as an escort for the AI industry. They're not impartial observers.
They're aligned with the national strategic goal of AI supremacy.
So the ruling isn't really about Mr. Liang at all. It's about ensuring nothing slows down that national acceleration.
And the courts themselves are adopting AI to keep up. I mean, we're not just talking about humans judging machines anymore. The smart court system, I saw something called the 206 system in Shanghai.
That's a profound integration. The 206 system actually assists in criminal cases. It verifies evidence, transcribes testimony, even recommends sentences based on similar past cases.
So it's using AI to ensure legal consistency. And if the AI in the court is helping judge the AI out in the market.
You get a very tight self-reinforcing loop. It all feeds back into that concept of digital sovereignty and the civilization firewall.
The idea that cyberspace isn't lawless, the rules of the physical world, public safety, social consensus, they extend seamlessly into the digital realm.
That's the public safety framework in a nutshell. If an algorithm causes social chaos, the state intervenes not because a contract was breached, but because public order was disturbed.
So the fault liability model forces companies to build that immune system, not just to avoid lawsuits, but to protect the collective.
The fault is, in essence, a failure to protect the public peace. The companies are basically deputized to maintain social stability.
Now, while this is a very distinct approach, it does seem to share some common ground with global concerns. Everyone is worried about safety.
There is significant convergence there. I mean, despite the heavy state control, the underlying goals, reliability, transparency, robustness, those are shared by the global community.
You see that in things like the Bletchley Declaration or the U.S.-China dialogues.
Everyone agrees that trustworthy AI has to be the baseline. And what's interesting is, despite the state-first approach, the regulations are explicitly framed as human-centric.
So,
by stripping the AI of personhood, the Hangzhou ruling powerfully reinforced that humans, the providers, the developers, they're the ones who are ultimately responsible.
it refuses to let humanity off the hook by just blaming the machine.
And it solves the black box problem in a very pragmatic way. We might not know exactly how the neural network thinks, but we can strictly regulate what comes out of it.
It's outcome-oriented governance, focus on the impact on society, not the metaphysics of the code.
That's the essence of it.
It really is that dimensional reduction we mentioned at the very beginning. They took this huge, complex philosophical debate and just flattened it into a clear industrial policy.
And that's the power of the strategy. It clears the board of all distractions and focuses all that energy on one goal.
Rapid industrial acceleration within a controlled, safe framework.
Yeah.
So we started with a guy in Hangzhou who didn't get his 100,000 yuan. But when you look at the bigger picture, you realize this was never really about him at all.
No, it was about something much larger.
It was about building a legal engine that runs as fast as the code it governs. The Chinese system has decided that the cost of progress is, well, living with imperfect machines as long as those machines serve the state's momentum.
It's a trade-off.
And it leaves you with a thought that really lingers long after the string goes dark. In a world where compute power is the new currency of nations, the most successful legal system will be the one that protects the machine's evolution from the individual, ensuring the engine never stops running.